Hey, it's me again. Listen, I don't have much time, but you probably haven't heard yet about Bitsy's waxing party. It is a hoot. They're going to be talking about this one for years. So, if you don't know, home parties are all the rage right now in Pride's Hollow. We just love going to somebody's house to buy stuff. We did the candles and the soaps and the scrapbooks and the jewelry and the food and the make-your-own dish towels and even the sexy toys party that we all told our husbands was a book club meeting. We've still got a lot of questions left over from that night, which we tried Googling, and that was a mistake. Ernestine Fink had to throw away her computer after looking up some of those words. And she works at the church, for heaven's sake. Well, anyway, we were so excited that Bitsy was having a home waxing party, even if none of us found that much excitement in waxing our floors. I mean, is that even still a thing? But we figured these home party people had probably, pretty much run out of all the exciting ideas, and who doesn't love a pretty floor when you have company over? And Bitsy always had great snacks at her home parties. I just love her congealed salad with the Jell-O and the fruit cocktail. You know, the one that keeps moving a good 10 minutes after you set it down. Kind of like Bitsy herself. Did I say that out loud? We thought it was a little strange that Bitsy was asking us all to wear our robes and loose clothing. But we figured, maybe it was some, girls' night slumber party theme or something. Anyway, Bitsy opened up the door that night wearing a to-the-floor, fur-trimmed pink robe that she no doubt bought just for this party. And she's already holding out her smartphone for a selfie to post on Facebook, where apparently some of the guests were attending virtually on one of those, live streams. She gave us a tour of the house, which is, it's a kind of thing I could never understand. Why do we need to see every room in your house, especially when we've been here before? And who's going to want to clean every room for company coming over? It gets exhausting coming up with different things to say about each one of your rooms. But Bitsy had just redone her bedroom and was dying to show us. Her theme, Bitsy likes themes for stuff, was animal print. I swear that room looked like a jungle, only not the good kind, more like a jungle in a war zone. Everything was covered in fur, and her accent color, she said every room should have one, was red, which I do not recommend when your theme is animal print. I'm just saying, no wonder the dog wouldn't go in there. It was like a fur house of horror. And I don't know the rules, but I'm pretty sure you're not supposed to mix your animal prints. I'm just saying, it's quite taxing on the eyes. I know. Here's where Bill would say, hurry it up already. He says all my stories are way too long. Yeah, says I'm the only person he knows who interrupts her own self. Well, then don't come to my girls' Bible study, I told him. We barely take a breath. We're so busy processing out loud. I'm the type that thinks as I'm speaking, which Bill says is not something I should be bragging about. But anyway. After we had our fill of snacks and Bitsy's world-famous punch, which she really just got off Pinterest, she gathered us all around in her living room where the chairs were all arranged in a circle, but each one was facing out instead of in, which we all thought was kind of strange, but we were too polite to comment on it. It's for your privacy, she said. For our privacy? Why in the world would we want privacy at a home party? Isn't the point of gathering together to look at each other? There was a table in the middle of the circle, had a big cloth over it, kind of like a cloth over a dead body on an autopsy table. And then Bitsy, with a flourish, whips off that tablecloth like she's a magician. And there was this big crock pot sitting in the middle of the table. She didn't make any sense. Why would you put more snacks right in the middle out here like that? Somebody asked her, what snack was that in the crock pot? And she said, oh heavens, that's not to eat, that's the wax. Well, won't that ruin the floors? Somebody asked. Oh, no worries, said Bitsy. They told me if any spilled, it wouldn't hurt anything. It's all natural. My husband, by the way, hates it when I say something's all natural. He says just because something might be growing on the side of a tree don't mean it's okay for you to eat. I know. He's my cross to bear. God love him. So at this point, most of us were thinking, like me, that somebody had gotten the whole idea of waxed floors wrong. You don't pour hot wax on the floor, just like you don't pour hot wax on your car. But we were too polite to point it out. So we just sat there waiting, to be handed the instruction sheet she was giving out to each one of us. We all started turning our pages this way and that. You see, the diagram was confusing. And no matter which way you held it, it didn't look anything like a kitchen floor. The instructions were quite clear. Dip that thing that looked like a giant popsicle stick into the hot wax and rub it on your... Wait, does that say, well, what else could it be? I think we all realized at once the horror of the situation. That Bitsy was asking us to take hot wax and rub it on the place we do not ever speak of out loud. This floor waxing party was referring to a whole different kind of floor. And Bitsy, she has this huge smile on her face, like it was the most common thing in the world to announce to a room full of mostly Southern Baptists that we were about to experience a home Brazilian treatment. None of us really knew exactly what that meant. But two things were clear. It had nothing to do with the mop. And we didn't want it. Especially when Bitsy opened up her robe to show us hers. What would have possessed that woman to do that was beyond me. And even more, what would possess her to share it with us was even more shocking. And right after we had eaten. Possessed was the right word. She had lost her ever-loving mind. When our Southern mothers taught us manners growing up, they did not teach us how to respond politely in a moment like this. And I'm pretty sure dear Abby, for those who remember, never gave out advice on the polite way to decline an invitation to uproot your private nether regions. Or as my granny calls it, her mini-moo. She got that from Adele. And if Cinderella had to do this to get the prince, well, there would be a lot of little girls deciding that being single isn't such a bad thing after all. I'm just saying. We all just sat there stunned, staring at anywhere but Bitsy and her little bald mini-moo. And Ray Jean was on my left telling me if she had to start grooming down there, well, somebody better bring in a machete. While Bitsy is singing something about how waxing prevents forest fires. And we all had these pained looks on our faces because we'd been thrown into a situation of picturing each other naked. And then I could hear sweet, polite Myrtle Van Housen screaming from the bathroom, where she had obviously succumbed to the temptation to see what would happen. She just kept screaming, "Save me, Lord! Save me, Lord!" And just when we were wondering, should we go in there? She comes running out, y'all, holding up a popsicle stick covered in hair, like some sort of horrible cake pop. And now we were all begging God to save us. And that's when we heard someone scream from the computer Bitsy had set up off to the side. Apparently there was a delay in the live stream, and the online audience was finally figuring out what they were seeing from their web camera, which at this moment was about an inch away from Bitsy's hairless wonder. And let's just say the ladies over at the retirement village were undoubtedly hitting their call buttons, and the mothers at home were throwing their bodies over the camera so their children would not see the sight that we would never, ever, never forget. I know, 'cause it sure is burned into my brain. Bitsy had a lot of leftover wax that night, 'cause there was not one woman who was going to agree to this barbaric practice, and probably wouldn't accept any home party invitations in the future either. We found out later that Bitsy had her Facebook page shut down. Said her site was inappropriate for children. Not sure when they'll give it back. I'm sure the people up there at the social media headquarters are still having horrible flashbacks of Bitsy's before and after pictures. But it's a private group, she kept insisting. And if you're wondering why not one woman signed up to go on the Brazilian church mission trip for next year, well, you can blame Bitsy for that one. Anyway, I gotta go. Somebody said that Booker's been in an accident and I gotta go see what happened. In the meantime, just remember, you didn't hear it from me. This has been Kelly Swanson bringing you the latest word from the small town with the big heart, where the people stay, but the gossip travels.